Hey guys, it's me, Shala360, and I'm just doing a really quick video because I read an article on Soompi and I want to encourage you guys to read it. I'm going to leave the link below in the description box, but it is an article about Ladies Code, and it basically was a translation of an interview that they did on Korean television about the day of the accident that took the life of Rise and Eunbi, who were both members of Ladies Code. I was into K-pop at the time the accident took place. That was a really tough year, you guys. It was the year that Eunbi and Rise died in the accident. Also, it was the year that the Sewol ferry tragedy took place. It was the year that Chris left EXO. I can't remember if Luhan left that same year or if he and Tao left the following year because it's been a while. But it was a really tough year. It was a really tough year for K-pop, and the reason why I feel like it's important for you guys to read this article, especially if you aren't a person who was into K-pop at that time, is that it's a really important statement about the inner strength of people from recovering with something like this. It also is a powerful statement about lingering scars. It talks a lot about the life that these idols have to go through in order to be able to pursue their dreams, the things that they give up, the things that they sacrifice. Like there is a part of the interview that is absolutely heartbreaking to me, and I want you guys to read the whole thing. Obviously, I don't want to tell it all, but in the interview, it's Ashley and Zuni who are on the show, and they are talking to Sujung. And the premise of the show is that the members are making a request. The group is making a request of one member to accept something. And what they're trying to get Sujung to do, Ashley and Zuni, they want Sujung to accept that her birthday doesn't have to be a sad day anymore, because the day of the accident was actually Sujung's birthday. I'm sorry, Sojung's birthday. I keep pronouncing her name wrong. So it was Sojung's birthday, and they talked about the fact that the day of the birthday, they had all gotten into the back of the van, and because they were going from a radio interview to an event and then back to the dorms, there was no time to have an actual birthday party for Sojung. And so what they did is they went to the convenience store, the gas station, and they bought a bunch of choco pies, and they put candles on the choco pies, and they sang happy birthday to Sojung, and then they got in the vehicle, and Sojung went to sleep, and she said that is her last memory of that day. And when they were talking to her later on about her birthday and celebrating her birthday, she said, one of my biggest regrets from that day is that we actually never ate the choco pies because we were all on diets. And if I could do something over again, I would eat the choco pie. Like, that broke me in terms of like just imagining kind of the hardships. Like it's never been easy, and the little things that we regret that we didn't do, you know. And it's such a small thing, but it's a big thing as well. Like, we were so concerned about how we look and getting to this promotional event on time, and, you know, going through the hustle and bustle that's required of being an idol, that I wish that I had taken a moment to enjoy a small indulgence with my friends before I didn't have my friends anymore. And that alone is a great reason to read the article, but there's so much more that they get into. They talk about, like, specifically who was where and what happened to them in the accident, which I'm shocked that they went that far. I was surprised. It really was wow. But they also talk about the recovery process, what they had to recover from, and Sojung especially, because the request was to start accepting her birthday. She talks about, like, what does her birthday mean to her now? Like, she even addresses, you know, how am I supposed to celebrate this day when I know what a big tragedy it was, and it hasn't been that long since this happened, and I still have all these feelings. You know, I can't flip a switch inside of me and make it happy, you know. And so I definitely recommend you read it, especially now more than ever, We need these constant reminders of the humanity of our idols because so much gets lost. I mean, definitely by nature of the business, it's a performative business. So there is a commitment that we expect idols to have in terms of putting on their bravest face, putting on their happiest face for us because we rely on our idols to be our stress relief, our safe place, our little glimpse of happiness in the midst of some bleakness. But we very rarely think about the toll that it takes or the cost that they pay in order to be that for us. We expect our female idols to be little and beautiful and delicate and amazing. And as a woman, just as a woman, not as an idol, as a woman, I can tell you the pressure to have your external facade be a certain way that men don't experience is hard enough. Just to be like, okay, you can't go to work with hairy armpits. You can't go to work with a makeup-free face, even though I do because fuck you. You can't go to work with less than fitted clothes. Like, there's all these things that you consider when you're a woman, like to wear heels or not. Are you allowed to wear glasses? In Japan, women can't even wear glasses to work, which is crazy. But like all these things, my hair, what am I doing with my hair? All these things you consider when you're out there in the workplace that men don't really consider that often, you know? And imagine that 1,000-fold, where it's not just about what am I going to do with my body hair, my makeup, my hair, my glasses, but it's also like, okay, I weigh 100 pounds soaking wet, but this outfit makes me like 115 pounds. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to eat less so I can get down to 95, and then maybe I'll just look like 110. Like, those are the things that idol women are thinking about, you know, and also just having to dance in heels, you know. Fuck guys who talk about, oh, girls' choreography is not as hard. Do all your men's choreography in 3 and 4 inch heels. Then we can talk about whose choreography is hard. Because even if you're doing like really simple arm and hand movements, you're doing it on stilts. So that makes a big difference in terms of level of complication. But yeah, it just, we don't think about behind the scenes. We think about what's presented to us, and what's presented to us is carefully curated to be what it is we see. You know, even when we see videos that are supposed to be like behind the scenes fun, those things are heavily edited to make it seem like the behind the scenes is fun, but it's not always fun. It really isn't. You know, it's really tough sometimes, and sometimes we do get glimpses of the ugly. Sometimes we do get glimpses of the hardship, but it comes from so many different angles that, you know, you can't even, as a fan, sometimes like, oh, we blame the label, oh, we blame the fans, oh, we blame this and the other, but every part of the machinery regarding K-pop plays a hand into what makes it so difficult to be an idol. I was listening to an older episode of the Ask Me About K-pop podcast, and they did an episode talking about managers. It's not a super old episode. I think it's probably a month or so old, and I'll put the link down below for you guys. But they were talking about K-pop managers, and they were talking about really good managers and really bad managers. And when they were talking about really bad managers, they talked about Baek Ji-young's manager. For those of you who don't know, Baek Ji-young, she is a superstar OST singer. I've said OST singer. So she has a lot of soundtracks under her belt that became like huge hits in Korea. But prior to that, she was a young musician out there singing and dancing, trying to be on the radio and in music videos, and basically living a young woman's life. She had a manager who she was having an affair with. And when I say having an affair, I don't mean like helping him cheat on his wife. I mean like they were sleeping together, you know? Anyway, that manager, I guess, portrayed some behavior that made her feel like she needed to end their relationship. And rather than just letting her end the relationship and go back to being co-workers, he decided to release her sex tape onto the internet. She was a teenager at the time that the sex tape was made. So, of course, there was a warrant out for his arrest for basically putting child pornography on the internet. and he skipped the country after that happened. But the reason why it is such a big deal is because even though everything that he did was wrong, everything that he did, because he was a grown-ass man, everything he did was wrong, but Baek Ji-young had to actually leave the entertainment industry for several years to regroup, and it was a stain for her for a really long time. And also it erodes a kind of trust that idols need to be able to have. You know, it's one thing to not be able to maybe interact with the public as much because you never know who's going to sell you out to the paparazzi. It's one thing to maybe not trust the people on the board of directors because they're looking out for their bottom line. But in K-pop, so many of the managers are like the closest people to idols. They're the people that are with them day in and day out, and they help them through their schedules. They manage their cell phones, their passports. They get them from one location to the other. They are the ones who make sure that they eat when they're supposed to. Like they do a lot. They're more than a glorified babysitter. They are a personal assistant. They're a scheduler. They're everything. They're everything for these idols. And to have somebody who has so much power over helping you in your career, having that power then to destroy you and having no second thoughts about it, like, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a massive betrayal. And so I just think that it's really important that we have articles like this Ladies Code article, so we can really just talk about like how sick this industry is, you know. And when I say sick, it's sick to me, but I mean, it is, the world is sick. So really, I don't know if it's that far off of any other industry out there, but you know, how utterly unreasonable and unlogical things are that idols have to go through in pursuit of their dream. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you guys read the article. I thought it was a fascinating read. I mean, it's not the best written article in the world because it was pretty much a verbatim translation, but still, it was a great interview that the source material came from, which is the reason why I recommend that you read it. And yeah, it's really important that we have conversations like this and we talk about things like this. And I hope that at the end of the day, the interview didn't put any undue stress on any of the members of Ladies Code. I hope that there was some healing to be found in all of this, because more than anybody else, they deserve a healing. They absolutely deserve a healing. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I talked to you guys about that. Thank you for joining me on another one of my lunchtime car conversations. This has become a regular thing. This might be where I do all of my pre-taped conversations. But yeah, thank you guys for joining, and I'll talk with you later. Bye.